From the glory days of the NWA to the birth of the WWF's family entertainment era to the Monday Night Wars and the rise of AEW, this is Wayback Wrestling Mania, where we cover everything in the professional wrestling world with your hosts, Adam and the Emerald Enthusiast.
Welcome to another episode of Wayback Wrestling Mania. As always, I'm your host, Adam, and tribal chief of this podcast network. And as always, with me is my co-host, the wise man himself, the Emerald Enthusiast, Donnie. Donnie, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, wrestling fans? It's the man whose ring runs on fanboy energy. It's the Emerald Enthusiast, and we're here to take you to the Elimination Chamber, not the one in your bathroom, the one from WWE.
That's a good name for it. Next time I go to the washroom, somebody asks me, where are you going? Oh, the Elimination Chamber.
The Elimination Chamber.
But Donnie, how are you? We're back for another episode, wrestling podcast, which is always fun. Of course, we are in WrestleMania season, and so
Indeed,
things are getting really, really intense in the world of pro wrestling. Before we start with our thoughts and review of the premium live event, for God's sake, I hate that name.
PLE just doesn't roll off the tongue like PPV, you know?
Exactly. But it is, I think it's worth noting, as of this recording, now by the time people hear this, it'll be past that, but as of this recording, it is Ric Flair 74th birthday. So yes. Happy birthday, Mr. Flair. I do a woo, but it just doesn't come off the way it used to when I was a kid. My voice doesn't allow for that. So I'll just leave it there. I won't even try. I used to bug the crap out of my father because I used to woo all the time, and he couldn't stand it. In fact, every time he hears Ric Flair do that, he kind of cringes, and it brings back memories of me, wooing in his ear when he was trying to sleep. Yeah. But there it is. So we've had the Elimination Chamber it took place in my least favorite place in my home country, which is Montreal. But that's mostly because of their hockey team than anything else. And so apparently it set some records. It was the largest gate in Montreal, the largest viewed in terms of viewership for Elimination Chamber. So these are good numbers for.
And the crowd was very hot.
Oh, absolutely!
They were enjoying it. It was in many ways.
They didn't enjoy the ending, I would say, but I did. But
right, and we'll talk about that more. But I miss this kind of crowd, the kind of crowd that we used to get in the old kayfabe days, when the crowds had their definite favorites, and it wasn't mixed. The crowds never sat on their hands. They always seemed to be into the shows. So this was very refreshing to see a crowd like this, very enthusiastic about the event that they were watching.
And it's carried over into the subsequent Raws and SmackDowns. So, so that's good. You like to see the crowd engaged. And for the longest time, for the last couple of years, you'd only see that crowd engagement in AEW, really. But now WWE, the crowd is back and getting emotional where they need to get emotional and backing their favorites, and so it's good to see. It does remind me of the good old days of the golden era and the attitude era. But let's get right into the show and discuss the event. So Donnie, take it away. Where do we start?
Okay, we're going to start with the very first match, and that was the Women's Elimination Chamber. And we had Asuka against Carmella, Liv Morgan, Natalya, Nikki Cross, and Raquel Rodriguez. So
it was. Yeah.
My first thoughts on this, I kind of thought that this was more of a perfunctory effort, not in terms of work rate, not that anybody didn't perform hard, but I looked at this match and I was like, there's only two possibilities here, and the very strong possibility is Asuka. I really didn't see anybody else winning. And so that's why I say, in terms of like storyline, I didn't see how else it would go except for possibly Raquel Rodriguez, because I think eventually she's going to get a push, but I didn't think WWE was ready to pull the trigger on her yet.
That's who I wanted to win. Look, and this is no offense to her. No offense to her work rate. She's great. But I'm not a fan of Asuka. I just like in ring, she's fantastic. I just don't like the character. It does nothing for me.
Mm-hmm.
The antics, the makeup, the spray, before that, when she would ramble off in her native tongue and nobody could understand her, and she's all excited, and and again, nothing against her native tongue. It's just her getting all excited in that language and acting like a fool. It never did anything for me. She's kind of dropped the fool act, but she still prances to the ring like ridiculously. And again, she does the spray, and it's like other people have done that spray gimmick and they've done it a lot better. Like, that spray is more believable when it's coming out of some character like Papa Shango than it is Asuka. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Otherwise, it just looks like she's been hanging out with the Batman Returns iteration of the Penguin. Have that green stuff in her mouth. So I'm not like, I know they're pushing her, and there's a chance that she could beat Bianca at WrestleMania.
I actually think she will.
I just hope it doesn't happen, because I don't want to see her as champion. It just does nothing for me.
Sure. I knew that was going to be your point of view. My issue with this is that, and I'm a huge Asuka fan, my issue is that we saw her wrestle Bianca on TV on Raw earlier this year a couple of times. Their matches were good. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But Asuka is a fan favorite, as is Bianca, who's the number one babyface as far as women go in the company. So as of right now, they're booking two baby faces against one another who were friends for, a lot of the year that they were tagging up in the 6 woman matches. So I really wanted to see Bianca go against Rhea, not against Asuka.
Yeah.
But this is what we're getting. So
do they turn Asuka heel maybe?
That's the thing, is that the reaction to her now is greater than it has been in the last few years. So it would be difficult to turn her, and it would also not, there's not a lot of time left either. So,
or maybe they do it in match where it looks like she can't beat Bianca and she does something illegal. Well, the refs.
It could be, sure.
Back is turned or something.
It could be, but it didn't. When they were face to face on Raw, it didn't seem like Asuka was there to, use heel tactics or whatever and be all up in Bianca's face and intimidate her and things like that. It looked like it was more of a respectful, babyface wrestler going against a babyface wrestler.
Yeah.
And so that seems the way that they're going with this.
I thought the work in the actual match was great though. Like I think it was, who was it? Was it Natalia? There was a moment where Natalia and I want to say Liv, where they were like raking each other's face against the cage portion of the chamber, which was, I'm like, oh, that looks a little stiff.
I'm sure it was.
I'm like, why would you want to damage Liv Morgan's face? After all, she's on the list, right? So,
Another thing I want to point out before we get too far into talking about the match, the pods for both the women's and men's matches this year, I noticed that the plastic or whatever it is, that, transparent material, whatever it was, it looked thinner.
You mean the glass?
The quote unquote glass.
Yeah.
It's obviously not glass.
Right.
And it didn't, this year it was much thinner, and it led me to believe, hey, there's going to be a lot of spots within the chamber.
Yeah.
But, they were vibrating even when nobody was near them.
Yeah.
And so you could tell that they were very thin. And so for me, that was kind of something that was, an early indicator. It was kind of giving away some of the things, telegraphing some of the spots.
Sure.
But Let me talk about some of the spots I really liked. Number one, I liked when Carmella left her pod after Raquel did that spear into her pod, and then she ran into another pod, which only makes sense, by the way. You know, if you're protected in a pod, and until you have to get in the match, you wouldn't want to.
Well, of course.
That's the way a heel would think. So I thought that was a good spot.
Yeah.
I really liked the spot where Asuka and Natalya both had Liv Morgan in that submission hold, and Liv went out.
Yeah.
Because that really helped Liv. Like, she refused to give up.
It keeps her strong. It keeps her strong. Exactly.
Yeah. And it also showed just how like nuts she is, because she went unconscious smiling. Like, and I'm like, that's very like consistent for her character.
Honestly, she's kind of making a bid. It's like, I want to, because she's dabbling into acting, right? She was on the Chucky show or whatever she was on, and she's apparently doing some kind of movie or something.
Yeah.
I mean, is she angling to play the DC Universe version of Harley Quinn if Margot Robbie doesn't come back?
You know, I would love to see her do something like that, because I think her facial expressions are very believable, and
she does
I would like to see her
very
do that.
well. Like she's good at the crazy.
Yeah. As is Nikki Cross, by the way, who, when she got pinned by Raquel, they missed the pin. So that's one criticism I have of this match, not from the women's side, but just from the production side. They had to go back and show it in replay. So, yeah, do better with the timing there. But the crowd was really hot when Asuka got in the match. You could hear instantly a swell of support.
Yeah, as much as I don't like her, there's support for her.
Yeah. And Raquel looked, Raquel getting double teamed. She still looks strong in this. So
she impressed me. Yeah, I like her. I got to tell you, her physical prowess, like her power, is insane. Like, she carried those women, or some of those women, around like they were toys. We talked about Chucky just a second ago. Some of those women look like Chucky in Raquel's arms. So, I could see her as, like, she's a believable future champion.
All we're waiting for with her right now is the character to develop.
I think at some point what needs to happen is if Rhea beats Charlotte, which I think is a very real possibility, probability in fact.
Yes.
I think both female champions are losing their titles at Mania, because eventually Charlotte will win it back, and because she's got to catch her father's record, right? That's the whole plan.
Right.
But I think I'd like to see the only believable challenger in the women's division in terms of a physicality point of view to somebody like Rhea would be Raquel.
Right.
And so eventually,
or Bianca could match her in power. The problem is,
but I'm talking about
two different programs.
Like size, and you know what I mean.
Well, and I'd say Doudrop too. Doudrop could match.
Yeah, but I don't think she has I don't think she has the fan following that Raquel seems to be getting. You know.
Well, like, Doudrop just got. Piper Niven. She just got back.
And neither version of her character is really like, they've gone from Piper Niven, which is okay. It sounds very generic, right? In terms of a name, it's like, you sure? Whatever. I don't know if that's her real name or not, or a fictional name, but either way, it sounds very generic. And her other name, Doudrop, just sounded ridiculously stupid. Like,
I wasn't a fan of that name at all. I was like,
what it sounds like? You know what it sounds like? A dripping drop of water when you leave a little bit of the sink still on. That's what that wrestling name sounded like. It's like, what is this ridiculousess?
Actually, her real name is Kimberly Benson.
Okay, that sounds more like an actual real name.
Yeah. Doudrop's, that's got Vince McMahon written all over.
Oh,
we've got to give somebody one name.
Only Vince could come up with something stupid like that.
Definitely prefer Piper Niven to Doudrop. So.
But to your earlier point, I think they're grooming Raquel for the push, and I just think after Rhea's had the title for a while, then you build up the Rhea and Raquel match. I will say too, I think we'll get to her in a second, but Nikki is very entertaining. I think, I don't know if it was Corey Graves that referred to like the Tasmanian devil, and I think that's a good comparison. And it's like she's channeling. Remember when the Ultimate Warrior used to do those nonsensical promos, which was 3/4 of them, where he used to talk about the spirit of the warrior, blah blah. I think Nikki's channeling some of that crap because when she runs to the ring, it's like, man, like, has she been possessed by the Ultimate Warrior? Because
I definitely like this gimmick better than the almost a superhero.
Oh yeah, and look, and I'm this is coming from a superhero fanatic.
Likewise.
If I could, I mean, you could see Donnie's room, and if I could spin this camera around, which I wouldn't because that's gonna to get it working again. Believe me, it's a thing. We love superheroes, but that gimmick was stupid. That was the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
It didn't come off as organic as let's say the Hurricane, which you knew that was.
Yeah, but you like that more so because it's so close to Green Lantern.
Well,
you're biased there, Donnie, because of the green.
There's. By the way, if you'd like to know more about Green Lantern, you can listen to the Emerald Echo podcast right here on YouTube. That's a shameless plug. The Emerald Echo podcast right here on YouTube.
With that setup and that plug, I think we need to bury Horowitz ourselves. But yeah, no. So her involvement in the match was good. I like that flurry of energy. My favorite spot was the spear through the pod with Raquel. I thought that was great.
That was a great spot. And there, like I said, there were several great spots. I really liked the double submission because I thought it told a great story.
That was a good one too. Yeah.
Yeah. Asuka won with the Asuka lock at 19 minutes and 30 seconds. So
yeah, which look, they gave the women, I think, plenty of time to showcase their ability, which was good. I have an agreement with you. It just felt like we knew who the winner was going to be.
Right. And that's when I say perfunctory, it has nothing to do with their efforts or, like I said, the overall product. It was just that I didn't see anyone else believably winning at this point other than Asuka.
My thing with the women is this, with the women's division is this. Twofold. They are doing nothing with the tag team titles. Mm-hmm. Like what are those goofs that are with Bayley? What is their group name? Damage Control?
Yeah, with Bayley, yeah.
First of all, the name doesn't make sense with the three characters. That's number one. Number two, every time these girls come out, these two girls, never mind Bayley, because I kind of tune her out when she comes on my screen. I just can't stand her. And that's not to do with the character. I've never liked any version of her character. I'm not a Bayley person. Bayley's.
So you're not a hugger, is what you say.
Well, it depends who I'm hugging. If Alexa Bliss wants a hug, by all means. If Liv Morgan wants a hug, fine, sure, no problem. Becky Lynch, the list goes on. But I wouldn't hug Bayley. I'd probably give her a stunner, or I'd have a woman give her a stunner because that's if I do it, it's inappropriate. I'd be like the $1 Million Man, and I'd hire another woman wrestler to give her a stunner. That's what I would do. Like he hired Andre to win remember when he won the belt?
And now I'll give it a surrender to Mr. DiBiase.
Yeah.
What a great storyline that was.
Oh, so good with the dual referee. Anyway, we'll talk about that. We'll give that its own show.
How much for the plastic surgery, bro?
Yeah. No, we'll give it its own. We'll do a show on that show one day.
Yeah.
We'll watch it. But I think they need to do more with these tag team titles because when those women come out, the commentators are like, oh, they've been on 100 and something day reign, and I'm like, yeah, but they haven't defended the titles once. So what does that reign mean if they haven't defended the titles?
Hopefully they'll get back to the tag belts at least after WrestleMania or something. I don't know.
My thing is like use Bianca, put her in a team because you're not going to put her. What are you going to shove her over to SmackDown to go for the SmackDown title right away? Put her in a team and have her go with a run with the tag team titles.
If Bianca loses, okay, let's say for the sake of argument, she loses the belt. If they wanted a hot tag team, put Bianca and Becky together, they would be the hottest women's tag team ever in WWE. You're talking about the two most popular women in the company right now. Asuka is close, but you can look at Bianca as the number one babyface, and 1A would be Becky Lynch.
Yeah. So I mean, put them together as a team. For a heel team, I would put Chelsea Green. I mean, they tried it temporarily on Raw, but Chelsea Green and Carmella
Mm-hmm.
I'll put them as a team because they're both stunning yet annoying, and I think their characters would work well together. There's so many teams in the women's side that they could put together and actually have a thriving female tag division, but they don't. So I hope they fix that issue. The other issue I have with the women is I think they need the women's division, not the women themselves. I think they need a mid-card title for the women.
Okay.
Like an intercontinental title for the women.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise you have all these women.
It would be an interesting tournament.
Yeah,
so.
you have all these women vying for these two titles. Mm-hmm. And 3/4 of them get left out in the cold because there's nothing. We're not doing anything with the tag titles, and there's nothing but the Raw and the SmackDown Championship. So all these women are there. They have one of the, probably the best women's division in wrestling, and they've got nothing to fight for.
Well, that's an interesting way to look at it. And yeah, I would agree. I wouldn't mind another title in the women's division.
And before we rate this, actually, let's rate this match, and then I'll say one more thing before we move on.
Okay.
So what would you rate it?
I'm going to give it a 4. Again, there were some problems with, number one, the booking, and number two, obviously production. It wasn't the women's fault. I think, they all gave really good efforts, but this could have been a little bit better.
Yeah, I'll give it because of the production issue with the missing the pin and just the predictability of it, I'll give it a 3.5. But the work rate itself was fantastic throughout the match.
I like Asuka's face paint, by the way. You may not, but I really do like that change in her character. She's a little bit more unhinged than she was earlier in the year.
I think, you know what, if she actually got down to like being more, if she was more, what's the word I'm looking for? Visceral and vicious.
Mm-hmm.
I could get on board with this character, but she still got the jokey, cartoonish element that just throws me off. Right? Like imagine if Sting came out with his crow gimmick and did all the crap that he used to do when he had the surfer dude look. It wouldn't work, right? And that's the issue that Asuka's having. She's still doing the cartoonish crap, but she's got this cool face paint, which doesn't mesh together, right?
Yeah. Also doesn't work, when you're booked to have a big title win and the guy who's holding the title goes, "Doesn't work for me, brother."
Well, yeah. Did you see the biography about the end of Raw?
Yes.
I love those biography series. Those are great.
Oh, I love behind. Here's the thing. I like behind the scenes stuff about wrestling after it's in the past. What I don't like to see are like these media scrums and stuff right after the pay-per-view, where they're just talking about it like it was a show. I'm like, I don't want to see that yet. I still want to be, engrossed in the illusion. So
yeah, let me pretend for a bit more.
Exactly.
When Sami Zayn comes on and says, "Oh yeah, we did a great thing out there," but it's like, aren't you supposed
come out, sell it? And sorry, WWE, sell it like MJF does.
You're saying this on Saturday, and Monday I'm supposed to believe you still hate the guy.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't want to see that yet. Yeah.
But the other thing I'll say regarding the women before we move on, Donnie, I'm having a serious case of withdrawal. Where is my Earth 2 wife, Alexa Bliss? Where is she?
I don't know. I heard that she is taking some time off. I don't know if that's a mental thing or a physical thing.
I understand that. I know that she's taking time off. But how much time are we talking? Because Adam is going through withdrawal.
My guess is if she's not part of a WrestleMania program, it might be after WrestleMania.
How can she not be part of WrestleMania? Explain that to me.
Like I said, it may be
wise man, make it make sense.
It may be that she needs the time off for, again, maybe mental health reasons. I don't know.
Come over, I'll take her on vacation, no problem. We'll go to Italy, wherever she wants to go. Let's roll. And we'll go, but yeah, I'm going through withdrawal.
What if she buys another pig? Because remember, she had a pig for a while.
I can roll with a pig. No problem.
The pig, of all the people I thought who would own a pig, she would have been the last.
Where I draw the line is the doll, Donnie. That's what creeps me out.
What if she paints the pig up to look like the doll? There you go. That's why he calls me the wise man. I'm here to give him nightmares.
For her,
I know what your fears are.
For her, I'd allow it. But anyway, I miss my Earth 2 wife. She's forever on the list. And if she's not going to be in the ring, have her star as Buffy in a remake of the series, or James Gunn. You're used to working with wrestlers that turned actors. Call Alexa Bliss, put her in the DC universe, and I'm good.
Yeah, she's another one. Yeah, I think. How about this? Have I said this before? How about Alexa as Harley Quinn and Liv as Punchline?
Donnie, see this, folks. That's why I call him the wife man. That's why he earns the paycheck of the Monopoly money.
There you go.
With suggestions like that, I like it. It's beautiful.
Right. If you're entertained by that, make sure to subscribe to this channel.
Yeah, I think go for it. The DC, 20th century, whoever the hell owns Buffy, Disney, call us. We'll give you the we'll give you the ideas.
All right. Match number 2. This was very short, only 4 minutes and 45 seconds. It was Bobby Lashley against Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Now I don't know what to think of the booking here. I thought that this was bound for WrestleMania, especially the way that it finished. But now I'm seeing that they're talking about Brock Lesnar against Omos. I don't know. Again, maybe this was intended as, Bobby sort of looking strong against Brock Lesnar because he almost beat him. By the way, good back and forth. They were each doing their finishers again and again and again, and the other guy kicks out. Bobby's doing the spear.
And they were very stiff, like the word. Oof.
Well, these are two of the toughest guys.
Those guys are beating the crap out of each other.
My biggest regret is that this didn't happen 15 years ago. Had this happened in the mid-2000s, these two guys, in their primes, I mean, and granted, they're both in amazing shape. They're both, freaks of nature, you could say. But in their primes, I mean, these two guys could have put on a clinic. But anyway, they went back and forth. Bobby locks the Hurt Lock in again. Brock couldn't get out the second time, and so he low blows Bobby, and the match is over. It's a DQ.
Right in the nuts.
Right, and then he smashes the referee. So
I would hate to be a WWE referee working a Brock Lesnar match.
Yeah, okay, so I'm like, is Brock a heel now? Because he acted like a heel the whole time, but then now they're going to book him against Omos. So I'm like, is this something having to do with the Hurt business? Are they reforming the Hurt business? Is that why Omos is now in the picture? I just don't get it yet.
My thing is, because it seems like they're setting up Bobby Lashley for Bray Wyatt.
Okay.
Because that's what they did it again on SmackDown where Bray had the Funhouse nonsense. And he was talking about Bobby. So it seems like Bobby versus Bray at WrestleMania. But if the match between, assuming those two matches happen on separate nights, if Brock versus Omos happens on night 1, and you're saying it could be a Hurt Locker reformation, could
Hurt business, not the
Hurt
Locker,
Hurt business, whatever the hell they're called. Hurt Locker is that movie with Jeremy Renner to me. Always but anyway, if they're reforming the Hurt business, could Bobby come in and interject in the match and cost Brock Lesnar the match?
This doesn't feel finished. Okay, we had the match. What was it? A crown jewel when Brock Lesnar won. But for this to be a DQ in a short match, it doesn't feel like it's done. And yet here we have the way it looks now: Brock going in one direction and Bobby going in the other. So I don't understand at this point.
Like and
maybe we're not meant to.
And how does Bobby and Bray make any sense? Like, what for?
Right.
Like, I don't get it.
So I mean, obviously, it looks like he's finished with LA Knight. But why all of a sudden Bobby Lashley? It just
LA Knight, I get a kick out of him. I like that guy.
He had a great match last night on SmackDown with Kofi Kingston.
He did, right. And his promo was really cool. I liked it.
It's the Nerd Day. And great comeback. Xavier's like, we made a lot of money by being nerds. So
he's not wrong.
yeah.
So yeah, I just those two prospective matches for Brock and Bobby, potentially at WrestleMania, don't make a lot of sense.
Yeah. At this point, I don't understand the booking. So,
but in terms of this match, it was really short. What would you rate it?
I'm going to give it a 3 for what it was. It was
Yeah.
it was great. The action was great, but again, 4 minutes and 45 seconds of actual match time.
Yeah.
Not counting the beatdown of the referee and the entrances and stuff. So short for a pay-per-view, and again, a questionable ending that leads you to believe there's more to come, and yet right now it doesn't look like there is. So
yeah, maybe they revisit this at SummerSlam. Like there's a brief interlude between WrestleMania and then at SummerSlam they revisit it.
Well, you got to think Brock's probably going to be gone again for a while after WrestleMania. So yeah, it would have to be if they're gonna come back to this. It may be a while before they can come back to this. So
yeah.
All right, next up we have Edge and his wife Beth Phoenix against the Judgment Day, specifically Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley, with Dominic Mysterio, ex-con Dom, at ringside. Mixed tag match, and the crowd really loved this. They love Edge. They love Beth, and with good reason. Those two, you can tell they genuinely love each other, and they have fun when they're out there.
Yeah.
Rhea Ripley, probably the hottest female entertainer right now in the company, as far as the amount of heat that she brings. Finn Balor, a consummate professional.
Yeah.
Not a constant professional, as Dusty Rhodes once said. And Dominic Mysterio, one of the most over heels in the country. So
he is. I mean, he's doing his job right? But yeah. the prison gimmick. The guy hasn't even had his first wet dream yet. How the hell am I supposed to believe he was in prison?
Well, I think that's that they're trying to sell this, and it's not supposed to be.
And
believable.
every time he calls her mommy, it just listen. There's two things I don't believe in life, and that's one, that Peter Parker could have any of his girlfriends that he's had, and two, that Rhea Ripley would actually sleep with Dominic Mysterio. All right, that's all I'm saying.
I'll say this: I think that we may see, if she sticks around, and I think she might, Beth be Rhea's opponent after WrestleMania. That might be her first feud if she wins the belt.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah,
because it would be organically built.
Yeah.
Speaking of somebody who could match Rhea's power, Beth Phoenix, who looks like she's in better shape than even when she was on a full-time contract with WWE.
Yeah.
She looks amazing.
Yeah.
Really stiff shots in this match. The one that I couldn't believe that really looked like it hurt was when Beth Phoenix did, and I'm forgetting the name of the move that she does on the outside. You know what I'm talking about? That finisher she does. Yeah. When she did that to Rhea on the outside, that really looked like it hurt.
Yeah.
Because even her arms hitting first, that had to hurt.
Oh, it's still gonna hurt. Yeah.
So, the double educator, I also like that spot.
That was great. I like that.
Finn looked like he's ready to tap, and Rhea reached out. The woman taking the lead of the tag team. I like that because again, she's in a very prominent spot. Let's have her be, the one who's kind of calling the spots for Judgment Day in this match. I like that. So,
yeah, I do too. Yeah, it made sense. Yeah. To me,
the Glam Slam. That's what I was thinking of. The Glam
Slam.
Those
two spots were the best as well, I think. But if you got to think about what just astounds me, and this is a little bit of bias because, he and I love the same hockey team. But just at his age, coming off the injuries he came off of, what was thought to be career-ending injury, and the performance he puts in whenever he goes out there, Edge is incredible.
Yeah. Edge is, again, one of the best as far as veterans go. I mean, he's somebody who's very believable. He's versatile. They can use him in a lot of different ways. And the crowd obviously really, especially in Montreal, the crowd loved him. The crowd loved Beth. They were hot for this match, and it was great. Edge and Beth won in 13 minutes and 50 seconds.
Which was a good length for the match.
Yeah. I will say that there was one point though where Beth was off, or she was outside of the ring and she was off her mark. She was supposed to break up the pin, and the referee went 1, 2, and you could see him looking over at her like, "Hey now," and like you could actually see him do this.
Yeah, yeah.
And for those of you who might be just listening to this, like he actually like stopped his hand from hitting the mat, so you could tell she was a little off her mark there. But
yeah,
yeah,
it's
but
going to happen from time to time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
the fact that they're as well timed as they are in general is really impressive. You know, because the refs got to be in on that too, and in tune with that. And I wonder if these are the kind of, because I know some performers, some wrestlers like to pre-plan their match, like to the letter, and some like to call it in the ring, as they say. That's going to be harder on the ref if they're calling it in the ring, because
I think WWE kind of has, from what I've heard, they have more of a mandate that a lot of it be planned out, that they want certain things. Now, I still think that it seems like there's still some, some room to kind of, get in there and, use your creativity. But I think from what I've heard, WWE likes certain things. They want certain things from the match, and they make sure that those are there. So, yeah.
Because, otherwise that would be I'm sure the guys are in collusion, even if when they're calling it in the ring, like back in the old days, I'm sure the ref is right like within close enough difference that he can hear what.
Well, the referee, he or she, they have to be able to know that things are progressing the way that they're supposed to. If you see somebody, basically going off script, doing too much improv, you got to wonder, hey, is there legitimate heat here? Is something wrong? The refs are the one who are ultimately responsible for making sure the wrestlers are doing what they need to do and communicating with the back if something's going wrong.
Yeah, they're like the choreographer, keeping them on point. It's like, all right, let's get on with it.
So what would you give this match, sir?
I'm going to give it a solid 4.
Okay. I went back and forth on between 3.5 and 4. Like I said, I think there were a couple of spots that weren't clean, but between the story, the energy level, I'm going to give it a 4 as well.
Yeah. It was so entertaining, and it felt good to see Edge and Beth beat the Judgment Day after all the
I just like seeing Edge healthy and happy again.
Yeah.
After like you said, I mean, after so many years, we thought we weren't going to see him.
Yeah.
And so and he's one of a group of wrestlers who have been around forever. Edge, Kofi Kingston, Rey Mysterio, guys who you got to think that the clock's ticking, and you wouldn't be surprised if they came out and said, "Hey, the next WrestleMania is my retirement."
Yeah.
And so I try to enjoy, guys like that while we have them.
Speaking of Edge, just a thought that since we seem to be doing a little fan casting in this episode as well. He's dabbled in acting, right? And he's been on The Flash. He was on Smallville.
Yeah.
I don't know the age range they're looking for this particular character, but shave his scruff off, cut his hair, and I think Edge could play Booster Gold.
Oh, I would agree. Yeah.
He's got that comedy there. So just a thought. A thought. But I'd like to see one day, I'd like to meet Edge. You know where I'd like to meet Edge? Because I've never had the pleasure of meeting Edge. I'd like to meet Edge at the Leaf Stanley Cup parade. I don't know when the hell that'll ever be.
Yeah. Edge has good taste, by the way. He's a Maple Leafs fan.
Right, and exactly. So, Edge, hope to see you at a Stanley Cup parade one of these days while we're both semi-coherent and still alive. But I digress.
Different podcast. Yeah. So next up, we have the men's Elimination Chamber match. It is Austin Theory versus Seth freaking Rollins, Montez Ford, Johnny Gargano, Damian Priest, and Bronson Reed.
Right. This was an intense match.
Yes, it was.
I really liked it overall. And 2 guys really stood out to me. And that's Bronson Reed and Johnny Gargano.
Okay. Well, we're gonna agree on one and disagree on the other. So
Okay. Who are we agreeing on?
Bronson Reed, I think, is part of that next generation of stars. Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, Montez Ford, by the way,
sorry, he's another one. I like, yeah.
Looks like they're starting to give him a little bit of a push and kind of break him away from being a street profit.
Now, would you see if you agree with me on this? Montez Ford looks like a great Intercontinental champion to me.
Mm-hmm.
Or US, But
I have often said I thought that he has much more in him than just
you
being.
That I really want that title off of Gunther, however you pronounce that nonsense.
I would like to see that. That would be a great contrast of styles, Gunther against Montez. So, there were a lot of stiff spots in this match. A lot of intimidation. Again, Bronson Reed, very believable as, a monster heel.
Yeah.
And, but also agile enough when he took that one move from Gargano, it was pretty amazing that he was able to flip over and do that. So
off the top rope, you talk about
Now, the one thing I'll say, and again, Adam, you can disagree with me on this. It's not that I'm necessarily anti Johnny Gargano. I just thought that for this match, they could have used. He was the one person in this match that I didn't think should have been there because I thought there were people that they could have used to be more of a threat. Somebody bigger in there that, oh my gosh, this person, they can't deal with him. A monster like, so whether it was Otis or Omos or Sheamus, somebody to be there that would look like, oh, this person's bigger, they're in an enclosed area, and to give things a little bit more drama than we got with Gargano.
Oh yeah, I understand. I totally understand that point of view.
Yeah.
Sure. And I don't really sense the fact that they've had a recent feud like Austin Theory and Gargano. I know they had a history in NXT, which is what
I did like the spot though where he tried to convince Austin Theory tried to convince him.
Yeah, that was good.
That Seth Rollins, he's like, he's the enemy, and Gargano attacked him.
What I like about Gargano is I like his work rate. I think he's a fantastic performer. Some of the stuff he pulls off too. Clearly, he's got some Italian background in it because of his last name, which as I do as well. So there's that. And plus, the guy's a nerd. He loves comic books. How can you not appreciate him?
Sure.
Yeah, he's another one. Put him in the. I'm going to put everybody in the Intercontinental picture. Put him in the Intercontinental picture. Damn it! I don't understand what. Like again, you got a performer like that. Use him better than we need another guy in the Elimination Chamber, which is what they did, right?
Mm-hmm.
But use him like. There seems to be two belts that I want off people. One is the Intercontinental belt, and one is the US title. I can't look, and I get that's part of the character. But in general, this push of Austin Theory, I don't see him carrying the company. I'm sorry.
He's not a favorite of mine right now. That could change. I think there's something there.
And maybe it's because he was attached to McMahon's left leg for months, right? And McMahon was trying to shove him, like literally and figuratively, shove him down our throats. Maybe that's why what it is. But I just get that title off of him.
But when it comes to after WrestleMania, I want to see Solo Sikoa pick up a belt.
And now what's he going to do? He's going to feud with. I know what he's going to do. They're going to set up a match at WrestleMania of Cena versus Theory,
and
that's not going to be for the title because John Cena ain't sticking around.
Right.
So that's just a match for the sake of having a match.
So anyway, Austin Theory retained the title 31 minutes and 30 seconds due to he was able to pin Seth Rollins due to interference from Logan Paul.
That's another guy. Logan Paul. He's talented. He's picked up the performance of professional wrestling very well. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It's just like
I've heard people, refer to him as naturally unlikable.
Yeah,
so he plays the heel role well.
Yeah, so. Maybe that's it. And look, what I did find funny was that commercial for WrestleMania where
Yes,
Seth Rollins
he
is
and
like being
Becky.
the Joker
Yeah.
and Becky's doing a Batman impersonation. That was really cool.
I don't know. What was that?
And he's like, why are you talking like that?
What would her superhero name be? Would she be the Man?
That would be weird. Yeah, yeah.
Or Man Woman?
The man squared. The man squared. But you know what? It's funny because I thought of her, with her red hair, with her like red orangey hair.
Mhm.
I'm like, I mean, she could play an older Barbara Gordon. I could see it.
Okay, yeah.
Look, not that I want every DC actor to be a professional wrestler. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I got to give Becky Lynch props because I saw her play Cyndi Lauper on Young Rock, and she did a
She
great
was
job.
far and away one of the most believable people on that show.
Yeah.
Because some of those actors, and nothing against them as actors, but they don't look like the people they're supposed to be. You actually bought her as Cyndi Lauper.
I think they did Hogan pretty well. The guy that's done Hogan is pretty good. I think
I like the guy who plays Andre. He doesn't. How do you find somebody to look like Andre? But I think he does as good a job as possible.
Yeah, he does a good job. The guy that does Triple H doesn't look like Triple H at all, which is like they did a good job with the guy that played Stone Cold. That guy is pretty good. But yeah, but she did a great job with Cyndi Lauper. So, and then I saw her with the red hair doing the Batman voice. I'm like, I could see her as Batgirl. and the Seth Rollins as the Joker for that commercial made a lot of sense considering that he laughs like the Joker every episode of Raw.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, he's already doing it.
Let's go ahead and cast him as the Creeper. So,
yeah, why not?
He could do it. All right. So, what do you rate that match before we go on to the big one?
There were a lot of good spots in this. A lot of stiff stuff. Johnny, I don't know if he actually did, but it looked like he got injured. Whether that was him selling, if it was, he was selling really, really well. To the point where he had to be helped out of the ring.
Also, that clothesline that Bronson Reed gave to Montez Ford when Montez was he's getting ready to do the people's elbow.
Yes.
He closed. I mean, you heard that thing, and I was like, "Ouch!" Like,
yeah,
that was stiff.
So I'm going to give it a 4.5.
Okay, yeah, I would agree. I'm going to give it a 4.5. Again, not perfect, but
the only reason it didn't get a 5 is because Austin Theory won the match.
When I first heard about it, it was like I was heard there. It was going to be for the U.S. title. To me, Elimination Chamber needs to be tied to one of the world titles, not the U.S. title.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So it was another booking kind of for me. But again, I think they did the best. They came out with the best match they could. So
yeah.
But the next match this is the culmination of a storyline that WWE has been building for months. And in terms of storytelling, this was a classic, instant classic. Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman against Sami Zayn for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. And what can we say? The crowd was 100% behind Sami Zayn.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
They booed Roman mercilessly. Adam and I, the only thing that we wanted more was for Roman to come out in a Maple Leafs jersey. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, I know. And look, I gotta say, I said on the last podcast, this storyline has really made me get behind and care about Sami Zayn, which I never did before. Like if you go back to our WrestleMania episode from last year, and he did that ridiculous match with the jackass guy, who was actually an actual jackass in my opinion. But anyway,
that's the only match from WrestleMania last year that I will never watch again.
Yeah, if you go back, you know I wasn't on board with Sami Zayn and the nonsense that he was doing.
And I say this as a fan of Sami Zayn. I like him, and I thought he was being misused. I thought that was ridiculous.
Right.
Now you see what he's capable of.
But this bloodline storyline really made me care about Sami Zayn. and I was behind him, but he ruined it. The minute he came out with that honorary Hab jersey,
Yeah.
I wanted the Roman Reigns to beat the living crap out of him. And so,
Well,
stop wearing that shirt and I'll get right back behind you. The more you wear that shirt, I'm sorry, I can't cheer for you.
It was funny. I sent Adam a picture and I said, "Do you want me to send you one of these?" And he's like, "No, I have enough toilet paper." So
yeah, that's right. And worse was Kevin Owens when he came out because his had the logo front and center. I'm like, see, you ruined it. Now I hope somebody hits you with a chair.
And I'll say this too. I never really thought Roman was going to lose at all, except for the fact in the match, there were so many times that he lifted a shoulder at the last possible moment.
That?
He is so great at that. The guy, there's a reason he is the biggest star in the business today, and it's not close with anyone else. But Roman is just he's a master at working the crowd.
Yeah.
And he had them red. I mean, the crowd was red hot for him. He hit Sami Zayn, with his moves over and over and over. But Sami would do things like come back and do his own version of the Superman punch.
Yeah, that was
which
cool.
got the crowd, really
cool
amped
spot.
up. But Roman Reigns finally gets the pinfall with help, 32 minutes and 20 seconds. But it didn't diminish the crowd's respect for Sami Zayn.
No, because they built him up where it was kind of a screwy finish, right? Where it wasn't clean.
Yeah. And did you see that spot that Sami did where he jumped through the ropes and it seemed to burn his chest and his abdomen?
Yeah.
He had a big scar down it.
What I even liked on the bits on the outside where, I think was it at the beginning of the match or early on when he went outside and kissed his wife?
Yeah.
And then after when
we need to give props to her too. She did an excellent job of selling that at ringside.
Yeah. And when Roman was beating him up on the outside and she put him near his wife and he's like, it's his fault, and all that was like enhanced the storyline. Those little right?
It was great. He's like, I wanted us to be family. I wanted peace, but he ruined it all. Yeah.
And when he got him with the haluva kick, but the ref was out, and the crowd, you hear the crowd chanting like that. What was it, like the 6 or something?
Yeah, yeah.
And you got to give credit even to as well to Michael Cole, because Michael Cole, he sells the fact that even he was getting behind Sami, and he was selling that that he wanted Sami to overcome the odds, and even Corey Graves, who was supposed to be the heel commentator, you could sense that backing the homeboy, you know what I mean?
Right.
The hometown guy, right?
Yeah.
Even though he's supposed to be the heel commentator.
It was one of those moments where, again, it was nice to see all the parts working the way that they were supposed to.
And then at the end with Jay, when Roman had the chair and he gave it to Jay, and then
Sami speared Jay.
And then they started pushing Jay around, and Sami tried to defend him, but Roman got out of the way and he speared. See, that's when I thought Jay was going to turn on Sami, but they didn't do it.
Yeah.
And then Kevin Owens came out to save Sami from getting a beatdown, and it looked like they were setting up they're going to tag Sami and Kevin.
Kevin,
to be a tag team against the Usos, and I thought that was going to be the Mania match, and they were going to take the titles off the Usos, but they didn't set that up either, because on Raw.
Well, I think it's more of a slow burn. I still think that's the end game.
But will it be done in time for WrestleMania?
I would think. The only thing that I can imagine now, because we've heard that they reached out to Rock, WWE, and he's not going to be there. They reached out to Stone Cold. He's not interested. Could they pivot and say, we're going to have one match one night with Roman and Cody, and another night we're going to have another Roman and Sami match?
See, the only way that works for me, and it could potentially work, but the only way I'm going to believably believe that Roman is going to lose, because I think he's going to lose at WrestleMania.
Yeah, likewise.
the only way I believe Sami is going to win is if the titles were split, because then you could have Cody win, the classic, old, original WWE championship, right? Which is the one that his father would have fought 4 years ago. Theoretically, it's the same. Even though it's a different belt, it's the same one that Hogan, Savage,
right,
Bret Hart, The Rock, all those guys held. And then you could have Sami go for the SmackDown one, the Universal Championship.
Yeah.
Then I could believe that Roman would lose both to two different people. But until you split those titles, even going into this match, I knew Sami wasn't going to win.
Yeah. Likewise, and I either go ahead and split them back up, or just
I think they ultimately should, because I think Cody wants to bring back the Winged Eagle, which I'm in 100% favor of, because that belt is still, if I had to have a replica belt, and I've entertained this possibility, the cost is just not effective right now. But if I was to have a replica belt, it'd be either that Leaf one that Edge had, but now gave to the actual Leaf organization, which I'm tempted to steal if I'm ever at a game.
I'm in the States. I'm absolving myself of this crime.
Don't worry, you're the wise man. I'll call you for bail.
Oh, great.
And then I'll be left there. You won't pick up the phone? Sorry, my Skype's not working.
I'll send you that Monopoly money.
Yeah. The betrayal by the wise man. But no, so it's either that one or I'd get the Winged Eagle, right? If I was going to get one. So, I think they got to split the belts. To me,
see, I'm going to go in the opposite direction and say, bring out the Winged Eagle belt or something like that, and say we no longer have two belts, we have one champion, and then the titles that are contended for on each show, one show has the IC belt, the other has the US belt.
Yeah, but they got to do something, because otherwise it's not believable that the guy, when you've built that guy up so strong in Roman, don't get me wrong, Sami, Roman, and the Bloodline angle sold the storyline, so that even though I knew he wasn't going to win, I didn't care. But the reason I think that's working is because there's always that, okay, what's Jay going to do?
Right.
I've had a thought, what if they don't do Kevin and Sami versus the Usos? What if they, because you saw SmackDown this weekend, right? Yesterday.
Yes.
Where Roman sent a text message and he's like, okay, Jimmy, handle your brother. If you don't do it, I'm going to do it next week. What if now Jimmy didn't handle Jay, because Jay kind of just stood there while Sami and Jimmy fought. So now Roman's going to deal with it. Now what if Roman gets so pissed off that he beats the crap out of Jay, and then because he's the head of the table and he's the Universal Champion, he has so much power that he's like, all right, Jay's not part of the team anymore, and he gives one of the tag titles, the partner of Jimmy will now be Solo. What if he decrees that Solo's the tag team partner, and what if the challengers for the title are Jay and Sami? I mean, that's the direction they could go
be.
into.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that. That would honestly make more sense, because after all this with Jay, it seems more unbelievable that he'd side again with Roman.
Yeah. You mean side against Roman and go with?
No, side with
Roman. Yeah, I still think that's what's going to happen. I think, I'm not sure. So, one other thing though I have to call out for the match that cracked me up was when Paul Heyman came in, and it was after the match technically, but when he was hitting Kevin Owens from behind and railing on him, and Kevin Owens just turned around and looked at him like, "What are you doing?"
Didn't he give him a stunner too, or no?
Yeah, I think he gave him a stunner. Yeah.
Yeah, because he had a neck brace on Raw the next.
But I just love Paul was like, "Wait a minute now."
Yeah, and then when he's talking to Cody, Almost called him Rody. When he was talking to Cody the next time, he's like, I'd come out there, but as you can see, I've been assaulted by and I'm not comfortable with
Yeah.
So yeah, it opens up a lot of possibilities for Mania stuff. I mean, we think we know where the direction is going to go, but there's that seed of doubt as that could they go another way?
So, moment of truth. What would you rate this match?
Oh, this match is a 5. Easy.
Likewise, yeah. This again, WWE has been building this for months, and it just, it's almost an embarrassment of riches that you have a Cody Rhodes who is so hot right now, and you also have a Sami Zayn who is so hot right now.
This storyline harkens back to me to my heyday when you're watching Hogan versus Andre and Undertaker versus Kane, Rock versus Austin. When they did Hogan and Savage with the Mega Powers. This is the kind of stuff that, even the build to Warrior and Undertaker with Jake the Snake in the middle. This is the kind of, it harkens back to that kind of storytelling, and I love that era because they took time to build storytelling. Where, in recent years past, the storytelling was so flimsy within WWE, where you'd start out a feud 1 week and 2 weeks later it was over. Like there was no.
I especially hate a part timer coming back and like wrestling for the world title.
Yeah.
And just we've watched this group of people all year, and we're gonna bring somebody in 3 weeks before WrestleMania, and they're gonna wrestle for the title.
Yeah. Well, how do you build a star like that?
Yeah.
You don't. You're just relying on.
By the way, I saw Roman Reigns' official TikTok.
Oh.
And he did. He played the Raw interview between the promo between Sami Zayn and Cody Rhodes, where Cody was like, I know you can beat Roman Reigns. And all of a sudden it cuts to Roman and he's like, if the two of you need to give each other a pep talk, it just means you're not on my level. He's great even on TikTok. It's awesome.
Yeah, he's but I'm so curious what they do with him after WrestleMania, if he's going to lose the title.
I still think eventually Roman becomes a babyface. I think he may go away for a while, a few months, while Cody carries the weight. Maybe Cody and Sammy, I don't know. But I think Roman comes back at some point as a babyface. But maybe we get the resolution to he and Jay first. Maybe they have a feud and Roman, they hold off.
See, I'd like to see them do the feud at SummerSlam, lead it up to SummerSlam, have it blow up, right? And I think you got to have Jay go over on him. Like, you have to have that. And maybe that's why Roman goes away. He's so disillusioned with the breaking up of the bloodline. And then he comes back later on with a fresh, a more babyface demeanor. Like, maybe Jay's getting beaten on by who knows who they set up as a heel, right, for Jay. Because Jay's over, so you'd have to.
Oh yeah.
You'd have to give him a heel.
Yeah,
it's the kind of.
He's another one who's he's part of that next generation of stars.
Or do they see the other possibility is, do they eventually turn Cody heel? Like, do they play into the fact that maybe Cody realizes this dream, right? And then in storyline it starts to get to his head.
I've always felt that Cody Rhodes was more of a natural heel than a babyface.
And then maybe he goes up, maybe he confronts Jay. And that could be eventually Roman comes back and saves Jay.
Could be, yeah.
But yeah, so many potential avenues to go. And again, when you have great storytelling, these are the questions. These are the conversations it sparks. Mm-hmm. Whereas when you do unexplainable nonsense like Bray calling out Bobby Lashley, for what purpose? You just left scratching your head.
Yeah. Or for that matter, last year, I had nothing but respect for Brock Lesnar as a performer, but I knew Brock wasn't going to win the belt at WrestleMania because I knew he was going on break.
But everybody knew that.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, right now we have a lot of legitimate drama. We don't know what's going to happen, and that's what we want.
Oh, yeah, we think that Cody's going to win.
Yeah. But it's
There's
not like I said.
There's the seed of doubt. And you know what? Look, I like what Cody's done. I like that he's back. But there are people that are so pro Cody that it's like to the point where it's sycophantic. Right? It's like the Snyder cult all over again, but now for Cody. So while I think Cody's going to win, and I think that's the right call, I'd still be smiling from year to year if Roman won, just because it would piss certain people off, and I'd get entertainment from that. So
I do wish it again. He's not like in my top 5 favorites or anything like that, but I do wish that Dustin can be there with Cody. But obviously he's under contract to AEW.
His brother, which is impossible because AEW.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Not Dusty. I know what
Dusty. You mean
Dustin? Dustin. Yeah.
You mean?
I mean, it would be great if Dusty was still, or if he were still alive.
Oh yeah.
To be in Cody's corner, that would add so much.
See, now Dustin retired in the next month and 3 to 9 days, then he could pull that off, right? Like if he says, "All right, AEW, I'm done," right?
Right. And pull fast with it.
I could even see. It's not going to happen, but I could even see Tony Khan being like, "All right, you can go be with your brother. Like, I'll allow it." But I don't know if WWE would be amenable to letting a guy that's currently on AEW programming,
right? Yeah,
be at ringside with his brother.
It would be great though, but yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm sure he's probably at the back, watching. That I could see. Like he's probably at the venue watching. Backstage, that I totally expect. But to come out at ringside, as cool as it would be, I just don't see it. But then again, Vince isn't there, so I mean he is, but he's not.
He's not. Yeah, there is ambiguity as to whether he's actually in control of creative now. Some rumors are saying he is. Some saying he isn't.
Here's the idea: would Triple H allow that? Would Triple H be more amenable to that as a one-off than Vince would? Probably.
Due to their respect for their father, Triple H has to. Dusty Rhodes was far more important to the business than just an in-ring talent.
Yeah.
So I think there's a chance, but I haven't heard any rumors that there's been communication between Dustin and WWE.
Speaking of, this is off topic real quick.
Here we go.
Before we end the show. So I saw some, it was a YouTube channel talking about, the whole Henry Cavill Superman situation.
Oh, here we go.
And the title of it, this is very funny, because the title of the YouTube video or the stream or whatever was, they had like a frowning face of Henry Cavill, which is 3/4 of his time as Superman. You could just pull an image. From any of those movies, and the title was Shattered Dreams, and you have no idea how I wanted to put the YouTube video of the Shattered Dreams entrance theme from Goldust on that video, because it just made me or a gif of or a picture. If I had any editing skill, which I don't, I would have done it, but I would have put on the head of Goldust, when he's giving the Shattered Dreams, like I think there's an image of him doing it to D'Lo Brown that's circulating on the internet for years. I put WBDC on Goldust's head and Henry Cavill's head on D'Lo Brown. And that's what I would have tweeted but I just thought that was funny. Not that actually Goldust.
Did you see that there was an AEW fan that had a sign that said Zack Snyder is all elite? And I'm like, listen, don't cross over. Don't cross this over.
Do you want me to stop watching AEW? That's the way to do it. Bring more people like that to the party, and I'll stop.
Speaking of, one last thing I need to bring up. My absolute favorite fan sign of all time was at this event. The sign that said, "If Roman wins, we will exit in a calm and orderly fashion." There was a fan that had that sign.
Yeah, because what are you going to do? It's pretty obvious what's going to happen.
because it was a commentary on the manners of Canada.
Yeah.
You guys are known to be
Oh,
civil.
wait a minute. When Montreal won the Stanley Cup, in 1993, it should have been ours because we got screwed by the referee. I digress. I'm not going to get into it.
Different podcast.
The scars of my childhood are still prevalent. 10-year-old me was inconsolable for months. Anyway, when Montreal won the cup that year, they destroyed their city. So I don't know that sign. I don't know if that is a sign of
maybe the modern Montreal people.
Maybe, but
I just love the sign because obviously for people who don't know, usually it's people holding up a sign that says if the heel wins, we riot.
There were people that were actually like angry on Twitter, and I'm like, did you actually expect Sammy to win? Like, really? Really?
Let's not forget a few months ago, they used Sammy as job meat for Roman. Remember that when he got beat up by Brock Lesnar and Brock Lesnar left him hanging in the corner on SmackDown, and Roman came out and speared him and pinned him, and that was the entire match, was a spear and a pin. So,
no, but my thing is though, like, how could you be upset when everybody and their mother knew what who was going to be champion coming out of that?
Yeah.
Like, I get getting lost in the storyline, but there also has to be the part of your brain that's like, yeah, common sense dictates that Roman is going to come out champion. The only way I would have believed otherwise is if they had started, hinting at that WrestleMania might be a triple threat. Then you could say, oh, okay, Sammy wins at Elimination Chamber. There's a triple threat at Mania, and then Cody wins.
Could you see that happening? Might we see a triple threat yet?
Could I still see that happening? There's an outside shot. I mean, Sammy is so popular that you have to consider it. And
it just made me think about the time that, Becky Lynch was in a triple threat and Michael Cole was like, do you know that you don't need to be pinned to lose your title? And she's like, I know how a triple threat works, Michael.
She's good. She's so good.
She was on commentary. I love it.
No, but yeah, so I could see it. It's a potential, but again, that's the beauty of this storyline is there's so many. Now you have options, whereas months ago, a year ago, who could you see challenging Roman realistically?
No, I 6 months ago, I didn't know who was going to be his opponent at WrestleMania. So
they've built up Sammy so good, and they've done wonders with Cody since he came back. So this is when you got to give Triple H a ton of credit, because if this was Vince McMahon running things in terms of creative, I don't know that we'd be here.
That's a good point, and I would agree.
So, but overall, solid show. Again,
had a lot of fun.
2 shows back to back, Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber, and now it's Mania. So let's see. I'm excited. We're going to cover it, of course. And until then, if you want to talk wrestling with Donnie or I, you can on social media. Donnie, where do they find you?
You can find me on Twitter or TikTok as the Emerald Enthusiast. Let's talk comics. Let's talk wrestling. Let's talk collectibles. Let's talk Green Lantern.
And if you want to talk to me, you can at Adam_LeafsFan on Twitter. We also have the Twitter page for the network, which is at MMNPDC. We have a Facebook page, which is in the description below. Click that, I will add you, and we can continue the conversation there. But until next time, remember that the feud between Sami Zayn and the Bloodline will live on in the memories of fans forever. From the first close 3 count to the last. So long, everybody.
So long, everyone.